Welcome to the 234th Annual Town Meeting. As before, I would invite you to join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is this way. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm your moderator for at least the next part of this meeting, and then you have a chance to elect another one. How do you do this?
I just slid this under this way.
Oh, it's on. There we go.
How's that? Better? Many of the people who will speak today will not be residents or voters, and rather than taking it on a person-by-person basis, I would recommend that we recognize their right to speak as long as they give us their name and their town of residence. Does anybody have any objections to that as a policy? When I ask for any objections, it's the equivalent of when you don't answer, it's a unanimous consent. So be careful, it can be taken advantage of. This part of the town meeting is simply for discussion. We're not voting on the first 27 articles until Tuesday. But we have representatives from many of the organizations here which will discuss it with you and give you the opportunity to ask questions. The town report has a page or two for each of the organizations that's asking for funds, the nonprofits, and I recommend that you read those. The first article we're going to talk about is Article 1, and in this case we usually invite the candidates who are looking to have these be elected to these positions to introduce themselves and give a little reason as to why they think they're running. So the first is the Select Board member for a 3-year term. Is there any candidates for that here who would like to discuss it? Flo.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm Flo Smith. I'm on your local Select Board. I've been on the board for 7 years, and I'm your incumbent for the 3-year seat. I really, truly believe in Berlin and the future, and I love being a Select Board member, and I hope I have your vote come Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Troy Nelson. I live on Point Ridge Road, which is behind the CVS Pharmacy. I think it's wrong that it's town meeting and it's not snowing today, and it's supposed to be in the 40s. What's up with that? But I'm also running for the 3-year term. I'm challenging the incumbent. I've got over 9 years experience over the years on the Select Board and 20 years experience with different town committees, and I think I can bring a level of detail and understanding to the important town issues facing us every day. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. I note that there are some offices that have write-in candidates, and I don't want to leave you out. If you're a write-in candidate, you're also entitled to make an appearance. Did you say there was a way of beefing it up?
Thank you very much. Here I am again, this time to speak on behalf of Jared Felch. He wanted to apologize because he couldn't be here today, but he did indicate the reason why, which is very valid, and he has written to me and asked me to say the following words on his behalf. So bear with me. Good morning, Berlin community. Please forgive me for my absence this morning for our town meeting. Unfortunately, the flu has hit our home. Thinking of my family and keeping others from getting sick is why I'm not able to attend. I thank you all for taking the time today to come out and show your support for our town and community on this important historical event. If you would please consider me for position of 1-year term for the Select Board. It would be an honor and a privilege to serve our wonderful town and community. I see great growth for Berlin, and my heart is with the historical, rural, and agricultural areas of our town. I also see the importance of making more affordable for our current residents and future families. I will serve with dedication, commitment, and integrity for our community. I thank you all for your time and consideration. If you would please consider writing my name in for one of the one-year terms for Select Board, and I'm speaking on behalf of Jared Felch. I hope you all have a wonderful day and stay healthy. All the best, Jared Felch. Thank you.
Are there candidates? I wasn't clear that was a candidate for the one-year term. Are there any other candidates for the one-year term for the Select Board? Then are there any candidates for the Select Board member for 2 years out of a 3-year term? You have to earn it.
Hi, I'm Muriel Morris, and I'm running for the 2 out of 3-year term. I was appointed in December. I'm Muriel Morris. I live in Berlin, obviously. I've been here my whole life. I was appointed for Tour's term that he did not complete in December of 25, and I would like to run for the remainder of that term. You have to run for it if you want it to finish out that term. Basically, my family's been in Berlin our whole lives, and I've been on several of the boards, and I'm a Justice of the Peace and a Select Board member at this time. Thank you.
Are there any other candidates for any of these 3 offices that haven't had a chance to speak? Yes. Why don't we just hold up? It seems better.
Good morning. I'm Chris Hayward. I'm a Berlin resident. Been here for a while. I live on Crosstown Road. Looking to get in the 2-year seat. Bring something a little new and fresh to the town. Have a broad construction background more than administrative stuff, and hoping that I can shed a little light, maybe some common sense on some projects. In transparency, mainly. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to hit me up after this meeting, and happy to answer any you may have. Thank you. Look forward to your vote.
Here, just hand it to me.
Need a new cord there.
Well, we'll bear on here. Article 2, shall the town appropriate $5,807,340 for necessary town expenses for the period July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. And is there someone who would like to speak to this before we ask questions? Do you need to be in front? Or?
Yeah, well, I'm going to run this too because we have a little bit of a presentation as well to help us through it. But, can you hold this just for a second here? I'll set this. I have to log back in. Oh. It's not letting me in now. Maybe we have a presentation.
Where is it going to show up?
On that screen. There we go. There we go. Presentation mode. Excellent, okay. Can everyone see that okay now? So I'll step through it, and then we can go to questions. So what's new, right? In preparing the budget, this anticipates a full year of the local options tax revenue. We estimated about $900,000. The good news is it actually came in higher than that. We have received the fourth quarter payment of $333,730,000 for the fourth quarter. That brings us to about almost 1.2 million that we brought in on the local options tax over the last 4 quarters. Bringing in and finalizing the fire department merger also, and the CIP program, which we'll probably talk a little bit more later about as well. That was just approved by the board in November. What that is a capital improvement plan. The full program is available on the town website as well. That document is very important for the town and for the taxpayers as well. And I would encourage everybody to have a look at that and even participate, because there will be, shortly after the elections, this will be a priority that I'm bringing to the board to rebalance, reprioritize, and readdress what the plan is for the town going forward, how we use this capital investment money coming in as well, and what are the priorities. So again, public input to that is hugely important. And again, I think the board and I certainly understand that every decision that we make is going to be wrong with someone, but if you don't put your input in, shame on you, to be honest, right? I can't stress enough the importance of this program for our tax dollars.
Can I just say something? I don't need a microphone. I just want everybody to make sure they know it's a capital improvement program plan, and that's what the CIP is, and it essentially prioritizes projects for the town. So that's what the plan, it goes out 5 years, but we have to redo it every year and modify it to make sure that those projects are still the priorities.
Again, that addresses basically everything that we do in the town, right? The purchase of vehicles, cruisers, trucks, equipment, that's all addressed in the capital improvement plan. Again, this November of 25 was the first one that's ever been approved, so it's new. It's not perfect yet. There's a rebalancing that needs to occur in that to stabilize the tax base. I mean, these are, big ticket items. The planning for buildings, structures, that's all part of it. It goes out for 5 years at a time, and it gets revised every year at a minimum. So again, I just can't stress it enough. It's hugely important, and your participation is just as important to it as well, and your input to the board. So town employee benefits. There's been a 3% wage increase. It was based on the CPI of 2.7%. Union employees, the police, won't talk a lot of detail right now because the board right now is in negotiations with the union contract. So there's not a lot of specifics that we can talk about in detail at this point in time. So the current 26 total wages was 1.3 million as of January of this year, the end of January. The proposed 27 wages are going to be 1.9. That includes everything. And again, we'll have more detail, obviously, when the questions come. Insurance, as I'm sure you're all aware, keeps increasing. The current total cost for fiscal year 26 was $728,000 and change. That's all our insurance rolled up. In 27, we're estimating a total cost of $801,000 and change. So about almost $73,000 increase just in insurance. Health insurance, vehicle liability insurance, all of it together. The revenue breakdown, non-property tax revenues expected to be around 1.5 million. That comes from the state pilot program and other revenue generated within the town as well, town clerk office. Non-property tax revenue is estimated to be around 1.8 million, a little over that, and that doesn't include any grants that have been applied for that we may have received as well. So, town budget, 5.8 million. Special appropriations that you'll be looking at a little bit later is a little over 100,000. So total funds, 5.9 million. The revenues and reserves that are expected to be used to offset that, 1.8, a little over 1.8. So we need to raise my property taxes a little over $4 million. The grand list is expected to be 5.4, so when you do the math, it comes out to a rate of 0.7436, which is lower than the current rate of 0.7450. So on a $250,000 home, that's about a $4 decrease on your taxes. It comes to, I believe, should be on the next page, actually, $1,859 for the year on a $250,000 home versus the $1,863 from last year's tax rate. So there was a reduction, is a reduction. So again, I already touched on this a little bit, a little more detail on the local options tax, right? The first 3 quarters, we're little over 230,000, second quarter little over 295, and the third little over 284,000, right? And we just received the fourth quarter of 333,730,000. So again, much higher than we anticipated of 900,000. And again, the intent for the lot, the board decided when the lot was approved that it would be used for capital improvement, capital investment projects, equipment. Again, related directly to the CIP, right? That's what is the basis of funding the CIP right now. And again, how we use that, what are the priorities, right? So again, it's to help stabilize the tax base so we don't have big jumps. What's coming up to be talked about for the next board in the next 2 to 5 years? The Public Works garage, the bond vote this year. Just a note on that also, that is, the board has agreed that it will be partially funded. So the total cost, as you all may or may not have heard, is about $6.8 million. We have a $1 million land sale to the Jiri Hotel coming in, and the board has allocated that to buy down that bond of that $1 million. So the new fire department rescue truck, they've come on board. Workhorse of the department, that's $800,000 coming up. Again, the part of the planning will be, how do we budget for that? How much money do we set aside each year? And at what point does the board pull the trigger to purchase that? And how much money do we have to pay down or pay for it in cash, right? That's a decision that will be made, again, in the rebalancing of that CIP program. I'm going to sound like a broken record on that, but that's how important it is. And that's the driving factor. Continued implementation of the 5-year approved capital improvement plan, okay. Townwide reappraisal, that's going to start in 2028 and it's going to finish in 2030. Again, there's a formula that the state uses to calculate when that's required, and we are now in that stage where it's required. It's not an option and it has to be done. The good news is there's been money set aside every year for that, so that money to pay for that is covered. It's there. We have the proposed use of the 3.4 acres in the new town center over by the mall. So when you come in on that newly paved road, that property on the left is that 3.4 acres. What's the town going to do with that, right? So that's something that the incoming board's going to be talking a lot about. What should go there? And possible town office renovation, either for the staff or for the police, right? Here we are at the school, again, having a, town meeting, when we could have potentially in the future a town office to have it in, right? Again, welcome any of you to come in and explore the condition of that office. I believe that office is 40 years old, 50 years old?
Oh, it's got to be more than that.
How many?
It's from 1969.
Okay, 1969. All right, so.
Yeah, I thought it was almost as old as me.
Yeah. Again, just take a look at the condition and the space, right? The staff is in there. We actually rent a job trailer for our public works supervisor and our listers because there's no room in the building for them. And, we got the police force on the other side that are sharing desks and tables and chairs. So we're growing, but the infrastructure's not keeping up with it. Again, we need to plan on how we manage that. Projects that's coming up: Payne Turnpike North Culvert, Junction Road Culvert, Richardson Road Culvert, Darling Road Culvert, all there. The Town Center Sidewalk and Multi-Use Path, and the Route 302 Pump Station. Right, those are a number of projects currently in the works as well. Again, this slide's pretty irrelevant because here we are at town meeting now, so. There's a lot of documentation on the back table. I just want to talk. I was going to have a little presentation, but I'm just going to talk for a couple short minutes until you kick me out from talking. The town, right? It's interesting. It's 2,900 residents, right? It's a small town until the sun comes up. Then there's 12,000 people in town. So why is that? We have a lot of businesses in town. There's a document on the back of the table that says we have 284 registered, I think, don't quote me on the number, but it's around 284 registered businesses in the town of Berlin. That's a residence of 2,900, and we have 284 businesses registered in town. Not a small number for a big town. We have 2 hospitals, the State Hospital and CVH. Not a lot of 2,900 residence towns in the state of Vermont have 2 hospitals. We have multiple businesses, multiple shopping areas. The infrastructure in the town of Berlin is a lot different. We have, and again, don't quote me on the numbers, but I have all this information available back there. And if there's anything that you want sent, please talk to William or Chelsea at the table and let them know what you want, and we'll get it out to you next week. Because again, I think the more information that you have, the more you know what's going on, the more you can voice your opinion to the board as well. So we have a 4-man road crew, roughly 30 miles of gravel road, 20 miles of paved road, 522 culverts that they have to maintain in town, of which 60 right now are listed on the state list as in poor condition. Again, just think about that for a minute. Four people got 60 culverts to repair before others go bad out of 522 that we're responsible for in town. Right? And they've got 30 miles of dirt road to grade every summer. Yep, everybody's roads are going to have potholes. It goes by priority. Not the squeaky wheel. You can call all day long, but there are other roads out there that may be worse than yours. And again, they're just asking for the understanding on that. Could there be a schedule? Yes, but it's going to be flexible and change because people have asked that question as well. Right? It's going to change depending on weather, conditions. Some deteriorate faster than others. So just again, keep that in mind. And now here's a seasonal one: mailboxes. I love to talk about mailboxes because I can promise you 4 or 5 mailboxes are going to get taken out every year. They're not doing it intentionally. I had people say, I think they're doing it intentionally. They're not. And I would welcome anyone at any time, if you would like to, when they go out at 2 or 3 in the morning to plow the road and it's snowing an inch an hour or so, you're welcome to ride along and see what these guys do during that period of time. And again, you may get up at, 6 o'clock in the morning when it's snowing, and it may look like your road hasn't been plowed, but I'd be willing to wager that they've already been through once, and if it's snowing hard enough, it's gonna look like it hasn't been done. But it takes them, those 4 people, it takes them probably between 4 and 6 hours to get all the roads plowed once, right, on average. So they get out, they get it, because even with the bigger trucks, if they're salting and sanding at the same time, they have to come back halfway through their route to reload, right, and go back out. So they get it done once, they come back in, and then they turn around and have to go back out again. Be patient, and if it's not being done, call, right? It'll get addressed. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe a truck broke down, it's being fixed and coming back out. But we get a lot of calls about roads being plowed, being graded. And the other thing is, that's information back there, this just leads me into that now, is there's a document that shows from the state count how many vehicles travel over certain sections of the road, by road. Not every road is done, but all the major roads are done. Just as an example, by the hospital intersection, 17,000 cars a day go by that intersection. Yeah, surprising. Crosstown Road is somewhere around, I'd have to look, but I think it's over 3,000 cars a day, average. Some days more, some days less, just on Crosstown, right? It's a small town of 2,900 people. A lot of people come here to shop and work as well. So our roads get used tremendously, not just by residents, a lot of others as well. Again, it's just trivial facts. And again, lots of information. If there's not enough there, again, just ask somebody what you'd like and we'll get it sent to you as well. So that's my soapbox. I'll stop there. I think that's probably enough
Question?
for now. Yes?
Is there anything about the CIP in the town?
There is not. There is not. But the full document is available on the website. And again, anybody wants a copy, we can get you a copy as well. Be happy to do that. But you'll find in that CIP, there's a 5-year gravel road plan, a 5-year paved road plan, all done by an evaluation with the town and an outside consultant to develop that, from studying the roads, the road count, the conditions, all those things to establish that to begin with, and a lot of other good information. Any other questions for me on anything I said? Yes, sir. You look familiar.
Good morning, Tor Nelson again. I've got a couple questions here, of course. Looking at the budget status report for January 30th, 2026, under revenues, it's showing property tax revenue collected so far is over $12 million. Mm-hmm. If the total town budget for the current year is about $5.6 million, why are we booking double the amount of revenue under property taxes?
Great question.
Every town meeting?
Great question.
Can you kind of
So-
paraphrase it?
He's saying that the hopefully I get this right now, that oh geez. Yeah.
There's
Okay.
no money in the budget.
He's asking why the town document report, monthly report shows $12 million, and I'm just rounding off numbers, for the tax revenue. And the report shows we have a $5 million budget for that. Where's the difference? Why? Why does it show that? So that is the simple answer is that is the total tax revenue income to the town before school taxes, educational taxes are accounted for. Right? So that opens the door actually for a bit more conversation about priorities going forward. The biggest priority that I brought to the board for this year for us to resolve is our financial reporting and accounting processes. It's already started. We've had a couple of audits, right, that we've had some findings, and again, those are on the back table if anybody's interested in a copy, and the status of those findings. So those are there for reference. They've been 90% addressed. There's still a little bit left to resolve. But the town uses a system called NEMRIC. That's a system that the state used to use years ago. Many towns still use it, right? But the state's gotten away from it. And we've had somewhere between 6 and 8 treasurers, and that information is back there as well, right, that have been using NEMRIC, right, and running it in the manner that they saw fit, because there weren't initially a lot of processes and procedures standardized to follow. So we're going to fix that this year. We've already contacted the League of Cities and Towns for assistance, and we've contacted NEMRIC as well to bring those experts in, and we want to do a complete overhaul over the entire system and how it's used, and have everything clearly identified and in line with how we do the budgets as well. So it'll be much more streamlined and much more transparent as well, with a lot less confusion. Everything will be clearly identified. I mean, even today, we get questions from different departments of, what account should this be charged to? What should that be charged to? This is what number town meeting? 34. So 234 town meetings, and we're still asking those questions. My simple term is that's not a way to run a business, right? That's the single most important thing that we have to deal with this year to get under control. So it's crystal clear, right? I know it's not a business, but at least that section of the town needs to be run like a business. Every penny that comes in needs to be accounted for, and where that penny goes needs to be accounted for. So there's no question in anybody's mind, including the department heads. They should know where things get charged. So that, to me, and supported by the board, will be the single most important thing that we work on this year to fix. So, sorry, I went off a little bit on that, but I think it's important that everybody knows that's what we're working on as a priority.
Another question? Thank you. I am still a little concerned about your explanation for the booking of $12 million in revenue. The school taxes money that comes in is not town revenue. It is in fact a liability, and it is totally against all accounting principles to book liabilities as a revenue. That is not right under any circumstances, and I'm disappointed that the Select Board does not look at these reports closely enough to catch that on the beginning. My second question is, we talked a little bit about the capital improvement plan and the capital needs of the town. And one thing you didn't mention was with the first year of the capital improvement plan, you have already deferred many paving projects in the town, and also deferred a town highway truck purchase. In the meantime, you are looking to sink $2 million into a sidewalk to nowhere, which was originally intended to be a multi-use path. But looking at the Planning Commission minutes from their last meeting, it is now down to a 5-foot sidewalk with multiple pedestrian crossings on Payne Turnpike, which is soon going to be a very heavily, even more so than the truck traffic we have now with the state garage moving, and it's going to be very heavily truck traffic. Why are we spending, as part of the New Town Center, a scoping study was conducted on a multi-use path, and this sidewalk on Payne Turnpike was not any of the options that was presented in that scoping study. And also on the maps for the New Town Center, there was no initial planning for a sidewalk along Payne Turnpike. So I'm just wondering why we are after putting so much time and effort into the new town center, why are we throwing away this capital improvement plan already and throwing away the plans for the new town center already?
So we are not throwing away the capital improvement plan, and TOR knows that the reason that we left the sidewalk in there is because we're getting $1.6 million from the federal government, and we had to match $400,000. And only $200,000 was put in this year's budget to match. And the sidewalk the money has to be used by, I believe it's committed by 2027. So we did not have, and I'm speaking a little bit out of turn, so I'm not participating as much in the planning commission, but the understanding was that the path that was originally proposed would not be able to be completed in time to use the money. So we're working with the state, who is also contributing to the sidewalk because of their new garage on Payne Turnpike. So they will be paying for a large portion of it, and the money that we get from the state will pay, out of the federal government will pay to have it connect to the sidewalk in front of the state hospital. And the goal is to have a walkable, to be walkable from the town center all the way over to the school. Is it the way it was originally proposed? No, but is it a path that people can walk on? Yes. And the goal of the town center is to make it walkable. That's part of the deal when you get a town center designation, is that it be a walkable area of town. So towards, I agree with TOR that it's not ideal. It's not what I would have chosen as the #1 way to do it. But if we want to take advantage, if we want to leverage that money that we're getting from the federal government to do something, I mean, the DRB has required sidewalks for a long time that are sidewalks to nowhere. And it's because eventually you got to start somewhere, right? If you don't start, then you don't ever get them. So we require them each time somebody builds a business where there's a sidewalk requirement, they have to put it in front of their building. And eventually those will all connect. This is about looking toward the future and growing the town and creating an environment where we can grow that town. And that's the reason why we've committed that $200,000, not $2 million.
Well, it's 200,000 this year and 200,000 next year.
Yeah.
But the total tax dollars is going to be $2 million from different sources. But
From the federal government.
but my last question, and then I'll shut up. I know it's not soon enough for some of you. Oh, but first of all, the new town center is only doable thanks to the work Carla and the planning commission did. She put a lot of effort into it.
That's why I get defensive.
Well, we need to thank her for all the work she's put on that. The last point I'd like to make, and Vincent mentioned about the traffic counts, specifically on Crosstown Road, and looking at the weather forecast coming up for the next couple weeks. I think we might be finally coming out of this winter we've been in, and that means the annual mud season closure of Crosstown Road. I floated the idea, I started thinking of the idea during the summer. I specifically mentioned the idea during budget talks. I personally think it's time that we start looking towards making the needed repairs to that road that we can keep it open year-round. It's not going to be a cheap process. It's not going to be done in a year, but I think we need to start working on it a little bit every year. Then within maybe 3 or 4 years, we can, get it accomplished and keep it open for everybody. Thank you.
Just a note on that, Tor. Just yesterday, we got a notice about the federal congressional spending, and we asked for $2 million for Crosstown Road in that. So I think it's a valid point, and it's something that we're looking at. And again, broken record. First thing the new board's going to have in front of them is the CIP, to Tor's point as well, to rebalance it. Just why? So November 25, our first budget review afterwards, we recognized that we probably didn't prepare it correctly. We had $3.2 roughly $1 million worth of projects in the first year. So in reference to what Tor said, yes, a lot of money was cut in that first year. We have to rebalance that. We know we're at best, we're taking in right now 1.1 million. We budgeted 3. It doesn't add up, right? The second year, we only had about 900,000 budgeted. So again, there's a lot of work still to do in that CIP to get it right. The good news is we have one now to guide and direct. We have to spend the time now to get it right.
Have you mentioned yet that you can find that online?
I have. That was one of the first things I mentioned. Everything that I'm talking about with the CIP is online, and that documentation that's back there with the road count, if anybody's interested, the highway mileage, what's paved, what's gravelled, the number of culverts, all that is back on that table in a document that I will package and put online next week as well, so people can refer to it. Mr. Moderator, back to you.
You may sit down.
Thank you.
Article 3, shall general obligation bonds or notes of the town of Berlin in the amount of $2,600,000 to, subject to reduction from the receipt of available state and/or federal grant and aid, be issued for the purpose of financing the cost of reconstructing an aging sewage pump station known as the Route 302 pump station, which handles all of the town's municipally collected sewage. The estimated cost of such improvements being $2,600,000. It's anticipated that payment of the debt service and maintenance of the improvements will be paid for by the users of the town municipal sewer collection system. Is there any questions on this article? We'll be voting on that. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, is the wording of this, was anticipated that the payment of the debt service is going to be paid for by the users of the town's municipal sewer. It doesn't say it will be paid for. So this leaves an opening for this to be passed on to everybody. That's my objection.
I bet someone has an answer to that. Sir?
I can help with that, I think.
And again, not be paraphrased, I can't hear.
What's that?
Repeat the question.
The question, can it be?
I think she's asking where the funds are going to come from, or the wording of the bond. Well, I'm Craig Pelletier, I'm the Public Works Supervisor. I manage the water and wastewater facilities for the town of Berlin. Do you want to ask your...
I'll repeat what I have to say. The wording of this says that it is anticipated that it's going to be paid for by the users of the town's municipal sewer. It doesn't say it will be paid for.
So it will be paid 100% by user fees. The wording was created by the bond counsel, the lawyers. That's the way they felt they have to word it, because at the end of the day, even though it will be funded by the sewer users, it is a town of Berlin asset. It belongs to each and every one of you. Even if you're not on the system, you don't pay for it at all, but at the end of the day, it is owned by the town of Berlin.
Well, if I have something that a lawyer writes up, I don't sign it unless I agree with everything that's written out. I don't like this language.
Okay, noted. So, like I said, I'm Craig Pelletier. I manage the water and wastewater facilities. The Route 302 pump station is incredibly important. It handles all the wastewater in the town. Upwards of 200,000 to 300,000 gallons per day of wastewater is pumped to the city of Montpelier for treatment. This aging facility was built in 1982, and the structure is deteriorating. And I'd like to invite Mike Maynor up. We've got a little presentation to go over some of the talking points on it and hopefully answer some questions. And if more arise, we'll talk about them after.
Gonna need Tom to unlock his machine here.
Oh, you gotta unlock your computer. Somebody closed it.
I did. Didn't realize you had a presentation. They got it from right here. Yeah, I gotta give you the passcode and all that good crap. You are in. Let's see. Let's get it started. Oh, yeah, let's see if we can't.
Yeah, I don't know if it's cable.
Can we start the.
That didn't work.
Oh,
It's not connecting very well for some reason. It's definitely the cable.
yeah. Is that a USB cable or is
HDMI.
That, might have a spare HDMI cable.
What's that?
Higher quality one. That may work. Nope. There you go. Wait.
Nobody move.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. So my name is Mike Maynor. I'm from Aldrich and Elliott. We're the engineering firm that's working with the town on the pump station replacement. I'm actually from over in Heinsberg, and I'm a Heinsberg water and sewer user, so I definitely understand a lot of the concerns we hear about the costs of these projects. Just going to go through a quick presentation here, just so everyone understands the project and can cast an informed vote. It's going to follow the flyer that was posted on the town website, so you might have seen that already, so it's the same information in there. So this is the public informational meeting. We're required to hold one before every bond vote. The actual vote will be on Tuesday. If you have questions about that, I'm not the person to answer that. The town clerk can fill you in on that. So we'll just talk a little bit about what's included in the project. So it's going to be a new below-grade wastewater pump station. It's going to include a new below-grade structure. We call that the wet well. That's where the pumps are going to be located. It's going to have new piping, new controls, and new submersible pumps. It's a newer way of doing pump stations than when the pump station was installed back 35 years ago. There's some existing equipment on the site. There's an existing emergency generator that'll stay. That'll save a little bit of money, and then the existing pump station's going to get demolished. So the reason this is necessary, it's about 40 years old. The pumps and controls, they've been replaced. The pump station's been maintained, but it is getting old. A lot of that stuff, it's only got a lifespan of 15 or 20 years. The actual structure itself, it's what we call a steel can pump station. So you see in that picture, that's the space that houses the pumps. You'll see the floor is actually a little bit wet and rusty, and you can see some rust around the walls. And that's a very common issue with these pump stations. A lot of them were installed back 30 to 40 plus years ago, and because they're steel, they will just start rusting. And this pump station is so deep, it's 30 feet deep. Once it starts rusting, there's just not a whole lot you can do about it. There's some other concerns just about worker safety. There's an old elevator that's used to access it that has to be inspected and serviced every year. 40 years old, that starts to become an issue. The pump station itself is very cramped and difficult to access. So the cost estimate for the project is $2.6 million. That includes construction, 15% construction contingency, engineering, legal, the permit fees, short-term interest, all those little miscellaneous costs that come up with this. And one thing I should add, that's a big number. we try to be conservative with these things. We don't want to go and tell you that it's going to be a $2 million project and then have it come back at 2.6 million. Much better to just be transparent about what we think a high-end estimate is. And one reason this pump station is fairly pricey, I included this little drawing you'll see on the left, is just to show the size of the structure. It's about 30 feet deep, so there's a lot of excavation, a lot of shoring, a lot of dewatering that has to happen as part of that project, and that's why it's an expensive project. That's why there's that big number there. So the good news here, the town has an $865,000 congressionally designated spending grant, and then the engineering work is also being subsidized by the state at 50%. That saves about $30,000 there. The remainder is going to be paid for by the town. The good news there, it's a 2% interest rate over 30 years. So, you look at what mortgage rates are now, they're almost 7% still. Typical municipal borrowings around 4%. So the 2% is a very good deal. That alone saves about $22,000 a year, in addition to the $40,000 a year you're saving with those grants and subsidies. And so here's just a breakout, that gray wedge there, that's the town's share. You can see that the about 30% of this project is being paid for with grants and subsidies, and all total, over that 30-year term, you're saving around $1 million. So the projected impact on sewer rates, in Berlin, you're lucky. You do have a big user base. You've got a lot of businesses that share in the costs of this. So that $76,000 a year loan payment is distributed amongst the sewer users. So it comes out to be about $2.50 a month, or about $30 a year. So just a little more of a look at the cost. So you can see construction, it's about $2 million. We are carrying a 15% construction contingency. So we've done soil borings on the site. We're working on the design. We understand the conditions on the site, but it's still good to just carry that contingency. There's engineering that's under contract. And then there's a couple other costs, there's easements, there's permit fees, so some stuff like that, and that all comes out to be that $2.6 million number. So the project schedule, bond vote this month. The plan is to put it out for bid this fall, late this fall. It's a very favorable time to bid. Projects award a contract in January, and then next construction season is when it'll be built. And one question we get on these a lot is your sewer service going to be interrupted? And it isn't. There'll be a temporary bypass pumping system in place, so you can just use water like you normally would throughout this project. And then because there is this $1.7 million town share, in addition to those grants. If the bond vote doesn't pass, the project won't be whole, so you won't really be able to make use of that $865,000 grant. And then the other issue is, the pump station, it doesn't go away. You're still going to have to upgrade it at some point. Next time around, it'll just be more expensive. And so I guess we can take any questions if folks have any.
I have a question. So what would the expected lifespan be of the new pump station?
So it depends on which part. The pumps and electricals and controls, it might be 15 or 20 years. The bulk of the project, the big expensive part, is that new wet well, which is it's concrete and it's buried. So that's probably more like 80 years, if not more.
I was just going to mention one more thing.
There's another question.
Go ahead.
How many residents are on this system versus how many businesses are on the system?
So the system is primarily commercial. It's about 75 to 80% commercial. So almost 300, and I think there's 125 residential users. And a lot of those commercial users are pretty big buildings, like the hospital, the Berlin Mall and such, and they bear the brunt of these increases, and the residences on the system are actually spared a lot of the cost burden because of those big commercial users. And I just wanted to note that on February 23rd, there was a special select board meeting where we actually changed the name of the pump station to the Robin Allen Route 302 pump station. Rob Allen was on the Public Works Board for 27 years. He actually, when he started, he was reading meters all the way to being chairman for several years. And in recognition of his civil work, we renamed the pump station after him, so thank you. Yep.
Is there a difference in the rate between the commercial and the residential?
Just in that, one of the costs is a fixed cost, and it's based on your gallons per day or estimated gallons per day. So a lot of those big buildings, they have engineered flows and, 10, 20, 30,000 gallons a day. So that changes your bill, your rate. Whereas residential users, a single family home may use 200 gallons a day. So that makes a big difference, yeah. Anybody else? Nope, Flo.
Thank you, Craig. Craig did a good job answering the question and giving you a more overview. I just wanted to add one thing. On page 53 of your town report is a great synopsis of Rob Allen, and we are very proud of all of his efforts. He and his family moved here in 1996 and joined the Berlin Sewer Commission in 1998. So he's given of himself for a great time, and we're very appreciative. Thank you.
Anything else on this bond vote question? All right. Vince has one more item to talk about, the last article, I think.
Oh, just real quick, I apologize. Again, I should have used my notes. I want to also acknowledge and let you know that there's information, a lot of detailed information on our police force on the back table as well, and that will also be on the town website with the other information. Just as a point, right? Little town of 2,900 again. Our police force had more calls than Northfield and Barry Town combined. The only bordering town or city that had more calls than our police force was Barry City. That's just one piece of information right there. But if you look again, there's a PowerPoint in the back about the number of arrests they've had, the number of call-outs, the number of responses to different locations. And I know you've all seen articles about or heard about, the calls to Fox Run alone, right? I believe it was within the last couple of weeks, they had one call that lasted 10 hours for 2 officers tied up that they had to respond to. So if there's any questions about the police force, I apologize, Chief, for missing you the first round, but I wanted to give an opportunity to answer any questions that they have as well. Those guys are out there beating the streets every day, and they have the numbers and the facts to back up what they're doing. So they give an important service to the town. Yes, ma'am. One is about water, and one is about police. Police, now's the time to ask the question. Chief? I'm going to call the chief in on a police question. And then water can follow up while Craig is here. Okay.
Let's have the chief come up and answer.
Yeah, Chief. I have some questions about concerns about working with ICE. We have a statewide policy that our police department follows that really heavily restricts our involvement with ICE, unless it's for like straight criminal matters. As far as the town having their own policy, you'd have to refer to the select board and the town administrator about that.
Yep, currently at this time, we don't have a policy. We follow the state guidance on that, as the chief just reiterated to you. Water question? Whoop.
So, I think that people are in other places have been sort of victimized, citizens being victimized by ICE agents who cannot be held accountable. Would the police consider, the select board consider that obviously you can't help ICE, you understand that. But would you be helpful to someone who was being perhaps attacked and being victimized by ICE? I mean, is it just a hands-off, or would there be help in de-escalating so that ICE couldn't harm the citizen who was there legally observing or protesting?
I think our role would be best served being preventative, and that we were concerned about some kind of activity. So the question was that if we would be involved if ICE was conducting activity and there was some concern about violence or things escalating. Our response, I would hope, would be more preventative. And if we knew that there was activity going on and there may be concerns about that escalating, that we get there and try to kind of keep the peace and keep things de-escalated. I'm sorry, without like a specific situation, it's kind of a difficult question to answer.
I understand. I just feel like people need to have their constitutional rights, you know.
Understood.
So, with regards to ICE, I'll give you a sneak preview into Monday's select board meeting. There's a resolution that was brought to the select board regarding that, and just to be clear on that, in the town charter, which is again available on the website, I keep pitching it, there is an article in the town charter that prohibits the select board by making any determination on any resolutions that are at a federal or state level, or conflict basically level, that they are not able to approve any of those resolutions without it being voted on at a town meeting or special meeting by the voters of the town. So the board is limited in what it can do in those type of situations as well. So something like that, just to make everyone aware. More questions?
Another question.
Yep. Water.
I think I can help unless it's, as long as it's drinking water. So the question was if we're still in a drought and if there was any damage to the wells or production, and we're not still in a drought that I'm aware of. The wells all bounced back from the summer conditions. We lost production completely from one of the wells. The other three were down probably 40 to 50%. They've all rebounded pretty close to historic numbers, averages. So no signs of any long-term damage. That's one of the big topics in the water department this year is going to be drought resiliency. It's not something we're used to in Vermont. A lot of times there's too much water in Vermont and flooding, and it's kind of a different story this summer. So we're going to be doing some studies and get some consultants in here to get a better picture of that aquifer up there and see if maybe we need to relocate a well or potentially drill a new well, or what we can do to try and, make that system more drought resilient in the future. Yep.
So the resolution that I brought before the board, because I didn't know that there was an article about ICE. So we're at an informational meeting. We don't have that resolution on the ballot.
No, you'll have to have a special meeting scheduled if you, okay, if you invite if you choose, let the board know, and then we'll schedule a special meeting. That's required. She may want to bring it to vote. So the question was, they have a resolution before the board, and wanted to know if it could be voted up at today, and the answer is no, it wasn't warned. So at the meeting on Monday, they have the opportunity to bring it to the board to hold a special meeting, to call a special meeting for a vote by the town, whether they want to approve that resolution for ICE or not. That was the question. The answer is yes, we can hold a special meeting to do that. That can be scheduled to do that.
Shall we go on to the next
I
article?
think there was a couple questions over there.
Some questions? Yes.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I'm a resident of Berlin. The people living at Fox Run are not the problem. 10 top offenses. This line is retail theft. I really do not appreciate that my tax dollars are going to basically have our police officers act as security officers for Walmart and Kohl's. They should get their own security officers and get it off of our backs. I do appreciate that our officers look out for the unhoused and unfortunate folks in our community. I think that they're a role model in the state, if not the whole country, about how that relationship can happen. But anywhere where there's big box stores, there's a large increase in crime. And so my concern with our town center is we're just going to have more and more and more crime. It's not that I think that, it's a statistical fact. So
Okay.
that's what I have to say about it.
I appreciate you bringing up that concern. We are not a fan of going to Walmart, I can tell you that, or the mall in general, to have to respond to these, but if somebody calls, we gotta go. I think our town administrator can speak a little bit more to that. It's just one of those things that we're seeing it like nationwide.
So just on that note, I think we also recognize that as a town. One of the things that we're going to be bringing to the board for discussion to address those things, something that other towns around the state and nation are using, are called impact fees, right? So it has an impact on the services of the town, those businesses, to your point, right? So why don't we consider charging them for those fees, right? So that, again, something that's coming to the board for discussion this year are impact fees for services like that.
And as far as your concerns that are bringing up Fox Run, the only reason I mention those in our statistics is to kind of highlight that the more we develop residents here, the more our calls are going to pick up, and that we need to kind of match pace with that.
Again, just another little bit of information. We do have a meeting with the board, with the executive director of Fox Run as well, to discuss the issues and concerns that we have with what's going on. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. Fox Run, basically, back where I came from in Brooklyn, they were one time called projects. When you have these projects, it's a consolidation of people. Some people deserve the help, other people are criminals. My wife here, girlfriend, we could go around a certain time of night, we were on the 18th floor, she'd walk up, she wouldn't take the door. It's a natural night housing for on the floor. It's more than criminals. This is a thing. There's no way you're going to stop it. You know? The more everything is built, the more consolidation. They don't have to travel to say 10 miles to look at the fix. The fix is down the hall. You know, they don't have to go out and meet people on the street. They keep coming in and it's on the hall. I think we've been so far with these projects that we got to get them. But you'll find out in time, of course, how to do that.
Thank you. I think we're not working this town meeting very well because so many of us want to talk and no one can hear them. So let me recommend that if you have something to say, come right up and I'll give you the microphone and you can do it.
You've got the project already there in Walmart Square. What are you going to do then?
Right. Unfortunately, many people can't hear what you're saying, so that's the problem. Thank you. Is there any other questions on Article, excuse me, Article 3. This is the pump station. Let's go on to 4. We only have about 35 more. Shall general obligation bonds or notes of the town of Berlin in the amount of $6,800,000, subject to the reduction from the receipt of available state and/or federal grant and aid, be issued for the purpose of financing the cost of replacing the town garage at 126 Shed Road, the estimated cost of such roof improvements being $6,800,000. Do we have questions?
Hello, everybody again. The reason that I'm up here, I'm one of the project managers. Me and Tim Davis are representing the town for this project. Also, the sewer and water departments will have a cost share in this project, just so that you guys know that's one of the things we're doing to help work down the burden on the taxpayer. And we have David Roy here who's going to, I think you have a little presentation, right? Yeah. Just to... Oh, yeah, Vince. Just so everybody knows, to say that we're cramped is an understatement. The highway facility is, you can barely walk from one corner to the other without doing a zigzag and a maze and backtracking. And right now, the public works, my facilities consist of a cubicle inside the office trailer outside the town office you may have seen, and a Connex container, which is those metal storage containers you see on shipping containers. That's the entirety of my parts and equipment storage right now. So to say we need some room is an understatement.
Okay. I don't see it showing up, but that's all right.
I think there's
Having some technical difficulties here. What's that?
I think there's some ports on that side if you want to try. Maybe there's something funky about that one. There we go.
There, all right. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. I've been working, my name's David Roy with Weeman Lanphier Architects. Our office is in South Burlington. I've been working with Tim Davis, Craig Pelletier, was working Flo Smith, and Vince on the development of this project. We've been looking at it for about a year at a very kind of preliminary study concept level. We have a construction manager on board who is Connor Contracting, who will eventually put the project out to bid once we complete construction documents. Right now, the estimate is, as we talked about earlier, $6.8 million. This is a 13,000 square foot building and includes not only the building, but we're going to turn the existing salt shed into a cold storage area, basically just cleaning it up a little bit and adding on a new salt storage facility, which is a little bit larger in size. A corner of the property, I don't know if you can see it here, right in this area here, was sold off to the hotel, the neighboring hotel. So that will go towards the cost of this project against the bond vote. It is a $428 a square foot building as it currently stands. That includes all development costs, the construction, A&E services, permitting, and other things that go into the building.
And demolition, right?
And demolition, correct, yes. The intent is to build the new building right here, which is along the fence line just north of the town offices. There will be a drive lane that connects the police department. I don't know where the police department went. The police department parking to the back of this building, so they'll have access to this building as well for use for storing vehicles for review of investigations. As Craig alluded to, his offices will move into this building, and Tim Davis will also have an office within this building as part of Public Works. I'm trying to think. If the bond vote goes forward, our intent would be to start permitting probably in early April and continue that process, developing construction documents. So we don't have all the details worked out yet. We've done preliminary site investigations, and we have all the civil engineering, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection engineers all ready to go in anticipation of this project. We have, within that $6.8 million that I mentioned, we have I can actually pull this up for you, sorry about that. So right here, you'll have the construction cost valuation at, I can't even read that, it's too small. My eyes aren't what they used to be. We've got 10% contingency. I don't know if you guys are aware of how construction works. There's volatility in the pricing. We haven't gone out to a final bid at this point. But there's what's called a construction contingency built in, and that allows us a little bit of wiggle room in the price. Obviously, our intent would be not to utilize that, but we have a $523,000 estimating contingency on the construction side and an owner's contingency of 5% of $261,000. These are in anticipation of things we may have missed along the process of this initial study. We've done a number of these facilities throughout northern Vermont, and Tim Davis and Craig Pelletier have visited those with us to see and understand what they would like to have in their facility going forward. So we feel we've got everything covered, and we'll do our best effort to make sure that we don't dig into that contingency and therefore not have to use it towards the bond referendum. But we have to plan for the worst case scenario. Anything else? You mentioned your offices will now be located within this building.
Maybe the water line, I mean, one cost saving thing in there.
Portion, so we've got it priced to build the water line in. The current water line is like right about here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. So we have planned to extend the water line so that this building, which is required to have fire protection, sprinkler coverage, is included. The city or the town of Berlin is proposed to actually do some of that infrastructure work to offset some of the costs of construction by the general contractor. So there are things that we can still work out and how we approach things that hopefully will result in some cost savings. Are there any, back on the back table, we have a full-size floor plan, which I can also put on the screen if you like, of the facility, and then some renderings of the building itself. Anybody have it? Yeah, please.
This is in the question, I'll stand up for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Jake Fallon and Ms. Fallon. This really isn't a question about the project per se. Our position, and we've been coming to these meetings for the past 3 years, is the economic climate and how much we can afford to pay. Now, I don't know if everybody's been watching the news, but it's beginning to percolate up in the news that there's a problem. In 2008, credit default swaps. I don't know if everybody remembers credit default swaps in 2008 crisis. We have something now called private equity, private credit. It's right throughout the entire ecosystem of the market. It's beginning to come out in the news. For instance, BlackRock had to write off a very major private equity deal they had, and they lost 19% in net asset value. Blue Owl's another one you can look up. Let me see, there was they're linking up with all the insurance companies. Anybody here who has an annuity, I would suggest looking at your plan because it's really a scam. What they're doing is these companies, these insurers are hooking up with these private equity who are going to be running everything, and they're the ones that are overseeing everything. And then they'll hook up with another company, a reinsurer in Bermuda. So they shift the liability off to these other entities, and the person who has the policy will wind up out of pocket. So we just had an insurance company that went out in Connecticut. We're in a really, really very bad economic climate, and the position that we take is that we should put off anything that's not necessary to pay for. Put it off because this thing is going to blow up. And we're going to be in a world of hurt that's coming down the pipe. That's all I have to say.
I have very little control over that. Just to say. Go ahead.
Let me remind you that it's not useful to talk when many people can't hear you. So if you want to talk, we're welcome to come up. Sir, you have a comment?
Thank you. My name is Phil Morse. I attended a site visit at the town garage a couple weeks ago, and I just want to say I was very impressed that the existing facility is not good, it's not okay, it's not fair, it is poor. And you need to protect the resources that we have with that facility, and that's all of the expensive equipment, but it's also the human resources that we have that need to be protected, not just from injury, but from losing them to go someplace else that has a new town garage. And there's lots of those new town garages.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, he brings up a great point. We did have a couple meetings in the town offices, and we did have a walkthrough that anybody from the community was able to come to. Flo, did you post those photos of the documents that we had? Okay. So when we were doing the walkthrough of the facility, of the existing facility that they currently operate out of, we took some video to kind of represent to the community what they're currently operating in and how significant kind of the problems are with it and what we hope to address with this new facility. So go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. I just wanted to say, I'm not here to say vote yay or nay, but what I do want to say is that, just like David just mentioned, there are videos and there is additional information and materials. If anyone is interested, we can provide those to you. I can tell you from that open house that we had a few weeks ago, there are people here in attendance that were there then. It definitely was communicated to us how old the building is. It's about 50-ish years old or more. And it's not tall enough. The doors are not wide enough. There's not enough space. To interject a little humor, I said, if this goes through, there'll be 2 Craigs in the building. We have a piece of equipment that's called a Craig, and Craig will have a better working environment as well, rather than working outside and putting his equipment outside. There's very little insulation. And the last thing that I will say, the building is not high enough, again, quite short in conjunction with our needs. And we have very expensive equipment in there that should be taken care of, and some equipment has to be outside, which is not good when you're paying over $300,000 per piece of equipment. But I also want to leave you with the fact that the building is not considered up to code. And that is very concerning to me, and something that we need to look really closely at. So I thank you all, and if there's anyone that was in attendance that day that also wants to speak, or if anyone has additional questions, thank you.
So where exactly are those photos and videos? Where on the website?
They're actually not on the website. I misinterpreted the question. They were sent to me. They have not been provided on the website. That's not to say they cannot, and we can work to have that happen.
I'm sorry, Flo, they are on the website?
They are. Excellent. Great.
They're on the elections page of the website.
Wonderful. That makes me very happy to hear. I was afraid that they didn't get there. So thank you, Rachel. And thank you all.
And by the way, the one now was built in 1971.
Thank you very much for interjecting that.
I think that was built at a cost of $25,000.
It was.
So I think you got your money's worth out of it. But, so well done on that. The intent of this building is, I think Flo brings up a really great point. The equipment within, there's been a recent fire at one of these public works garages in the state. They lost a couple pieces of equipment. That's not to say that can't still happen, but this building will be up to code. The environment will be conducive to maintaining and protecting the equipment for longer periods of time. They're currently working outside to do much of the maintenance on the buildings, on the machinery. The last few months have been quite hard, to say the least, because of the temperatures and the cold. So this will provide them kind of a better opportunity to protect and maintain the equipment. By having the salt shed converted to cold storage, there's a lot of smaller pieces of equipment scattered throughout the yard that can now be brought inside, at least protected from the weather, which will also help in that respect. So a lot of factors we're hoping will actually enhance the availability of these men and to do their work for the community. So with that, any more questions? Please.
My name is Jill, member of Berlin Community. I went also to the tour. Really glad that I did, because it opened my eyes to the need of the garage. It was mud all over the floor that when they do have to work on the vehicles inside, if they're able to, they're laying it on.
Yeah.
It's cold. Blower came on, we were there maybe a half an hour, 40 minutes. Blower came on, I think it was 4 times.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding, that's why we started the local options tax, because that's going to pay for this, plus the hotels, the sale to the hotel, if I'm understanding everything correctly. And with that local options tax, why the town car tax is going down. And I, personal opinion, it's a great idea, and I think we need to support it.
Thank you.
What's the lifespan?
We would expect the building to last 50 years. I mean, you should probably about the 40-year mark, you should probably be thinking about, replacement, because these things take time.
Yeah.
But we would anticipate that this would last 50 years. Yes.
Yes, I was also at that meeting as well. The amount of time that our guys have to jockey the equipment to get the equipment into the building is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's extremely tight in there. It's going to be extremely high quality also work on the equipment. And like Joe was saying, floors are filthy dirty with mud. They back in, all the stuff falls off. The heater did come on more than probably 4 times in the amount of time that we were there. Kept kicking on. So from an efficiency standpoint, our heating in that building should go down tremendously as far as costs is concerned.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you for your time and your patience and your understanding and your vote on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go on to the next page here. Article 5, shall the town appropriate $44,017 to the Kellogg Hubbard Library? And is there a representative, Ms. Peterson? Yes.
Hi, My name is Ty Nixa Peterson. I live on East Road with these two kiddos and my husband. I serve on the Board of Trustees at the Kellogg Hubbard Library. And as most of you know, the library has been here for over a century, and it serves the 6 surrounding towns. It's the second largest library in the state. It has the second highest number of visitors and circulation in Vermont. Last year, there were over 530 Berlin residents that had a library card. And that doesn't include little kids, because you can't get a library card until you're 5, so it's probably more than that. Berlin residents borrowed over 6,300 physical items, and that does not include the countless other free services they provide, like digital items or apps or meeting rooms or using the space or attending the programs. I think there were over 13,000 people that attended programs at the library last year. I have a lot of facts and figures, but to save on time, municipal funding for the library is only half of the budget of the library. They rely heavily on fundraising and endowment too. The budget's over $1 million, but we asked Berlin for $44,000. This is only a small 3% increase from last year and is at about $15 per person. And that increase is really only for inflation. And I think it's important to note that Berlin actually pays the lowest amount per person of all the towns the library serves. And for the whole state of Vermont, so we pay about $15 a person, and the average municipal support for libraries in Vermont is $40. So we get a pretty amazing resource that's free for everyone. It's resilient, it's inclusive, and it continues to adapt to the changing needs of our community. And I think it's a pretty amazing resource that we have. So I hope we'll continue to support it, and that's it. Does anyone have any questions? Yes?
I just wanted to make the comment that one of the reasons I think the amount that they request has been kept down is given that part of Berlin is like close to Northfield and the Brown Library, something kind of close to there, you can use the Aldrich. But when you get right down to $44,000, no way you can have our own little local library for that. And I still love libraries.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come on.
You forgot your wand here.
And this guy.
Article 6, shall the town appropriate $21,600 to the Montpelier Senior Activity Center? Now, I have a list of people that will like to speak, but I don't have any representatives from them. Anybody want to talk about that? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to add on about the library being affordable. Part of why the library is affordable is the people that work there are very underpaid.
Good.
So, they're making like $21 an hour. It's not, so hopefully that will change.
Okay. Let me suggest to those who organize the town meeting that next year we get another, we used to have a roving microphone and we'd hand it around to save a lot of time. If you're speaking from the back and you have a loud voice, you don't need to be amplified, but I'm sensing that a lot of people are being left out of this talk, and I would, again, recommend that you come up and share the mic. Article 7, shall the town appropriate $10,000 to the Berlin Corner Cemetery Association? Is Jeff Mugford here? Are there any questions about the Cemetery Association? Article 8, shall the town appropriate $7,150 to the Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice? Questions? Comments? Support? Article 9, shall the town appropriate $3,000 to the Central Vermont Council on Aging? Ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Caitlin Rosine. I'm a resident of Plainfield, not Berlin. Thanks for letting me speak here. I'm a director at the Central Vermont Council on Aging. Our main office is down the hill in Berry City. I did want to say that I do believe I have a different number for what we're appropriating. And I don't know, Rachel, if I am filling in for the normal person, but I do have 1,875. So we might need to clear that up.
You can't amend it, so
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll take care of that afterwards. Let me just give you a quick overview of who we are. We serve 54 towns in central Vermont, and we are a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to support the residents of those towns to age with dignity and choice. We do that by particularly focusing on individuals who are age 60 and over and their families and their caregivers. Our free services, we don't charge for any of our services, include nutrition support, including direct nutrition counseling and other programming, as well as contracting the 3 different meal sites that serve Berlin residents for Meals on Wheels, as well as congregate or community lunches. We also do things such as caregiver support, dementia respite. We help with the state health insurance, aka Medicare. We offer free health programs and classes, such as the walking class that was recently held up at the right next door at the mall. We also offer volunteer services. We have a helpline for anyone who has questions, and we offer case management to clients. We are requesting $1,875 again this year. That is level funding. We received town funding from all 54 towns that we serve. We very much appreciate that you have been a supporter of our organization. And your funds will directly support our helpline and our case management services. And so I would like to just very briefly give you one example of the way that the services, or pardon me, the funds that you provided enabled us to serve one of the 90 Berlin residents that we served last fiscal year. And it's one that I worked on firsthand. So an individual, a Berlin resident, reached out to our helpline because he was no longer able to drive his own car, and he was finding himself very isolated and finding just a hard, very challenged to navigate how to grocery shop, let alone socialize and go to the places he loves. He spoke with someone on our helpline who helped give him some immediate resources for accessing tips for how to access food delivery. And then within a week, one of our case managers visited the gentleman at his home, where they strategized on all of the different resources for transportation as well as food delivery. And in that conversation, the isolation came up. And we were able to, and this is where I had firsthand knowledge, we were able to match this individual with a volunteer who visits with him every week, helps with rides, and they're also in the same age bracket, so they're in their 80s. They are able to also have wonderful conversation about shared experiences from their past. And when I checked in with this resident, actually just the end of last week, not for this purpose, but just to see how the match was going, he told me it was one of the greatest things that happened in the last decade, that their conversations alone have been just spectacular, in particular because they are contemporaries in age. I do have, for anyone who would like more information, I did place behind me on the table a copy of our last year's impact or our annual report, and as well as a brief service report for the services to the town of Berlin. Any questions for me that I can answer? Yeah. Yes.
Are you the people that respond to 211?
We respond to only some services. That is not a program that we run directly, no. But some things do get referred to us. In fact, a fair number get referred to us. From 211 was the question. Were there any other questions?
I do just
I apologize for that, so I will say we are requesting $3,000. I apologize, I'm filling in for a coworker who has a flu and normally is here, and so I apologize for that foible. But any other questions? Yes.
Another question was an endorsement. When you moved here 6 years ago, we consulted your offices to help us decide about health insurance, Medicare. And we steered in a wonderful direction and stayed with that particular prescription provider up until this last year. And then I said 50% more than last year. That seems like a lot. And called your office and had an interview. And I think we're going to end up saving several $1,000s this year on our prescription plan, just because, you don't, there's a certain point where you bought your milk point, there's 10%, that's inflation, that's normal. But that's a little high, and they were able to point us in a good direction.
I am so glad to hear that we were able to help you save that amount of money. That gives me a lot of joy. Thanks for sharing that. Any other comments or questions? Wonderful, thank you very much.
Thank you. What article are we on?
Yeah.
10. Shall the town, 10, shall the town appropriate $2,000 to the Washington County Mental Health? Any comments or questions? Shall the town appropriate $1,200 to Central Vermont Adult Education? Shall the town appropriate $1,000 to the Vermont Central Memorial Civic Center? Shall the town appropriate $1,000 to Down Street Housing and Community Development? Ma'am, come right up.
Thank you so much. Good morning, or almost afternoon, neighbors, friends, and the amazing nonprofits I'm sitting with in the corner. So nice to meet everyone. I work at Down Street Housing. My name is Grace. I'm very new. I've just finished decorating my desk, but I'm so happy to be here today. I've never done something like this, and it's an honor to be speaking in front of you all. So on behalf of Down Street, I wanted to thank the town of Berlin and for your support in making Fox Run Apartments a reality. And because of your leadership and willingness to welcome housing into the town center, 30 families are now calling Berlin home. And that's not insignificant. That matters. Stable, affordable housing allows families to work, go to school, and contribute to the life of this community. As a Central Vermonter myself, and as a young professional, I just know how hard it is to find affordable housing and how hard it is to start a life in Vermont and maintain a life in Vermont as the cost of pretty much everything is rising. But we are honored that Fox Run is the first housing development in Berlin's new town center. And it represents not just new buildings, but Berlin's commitment to thoughtful growth and a strong future. But I also want to take a moment to recognize that there are been concerns that have been raised recently and here today. And we take these very seriously. The challenges cited involve a very small number of households and not the broader community at Fox Run. But we are actively addressing these issues and doing everything we legally are able to ensure that the property is safe, well-managed, and respectful for residents and neighbors alike. And our executive director will be at one of our board meetings coming up soon, as was mentioned. Housing brings people together from many walks of life, and to be honest, that's part of its strength. And we remain committed to being good partners to the town and stewards of this new community asset. So I want to thank you for your continued support and for welcoming these families to Berlin, all families to Berlin, and me, a new face. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe the meeting will be the 16th, if folks are interested in attending, where the director will be. I'm sorry, I don't really need this, but I believe the meeting where the executive director is coming is March 16th, if others are interested in participating.
Shall the town appropriate $1,000 to elevate youth services?
Hello, everyone. My name is Favor Ellis, and I live in Berry City. I am the Executive Director of Elevate Youth Services. Our offices are in Berlin by the Green Mountain Community Fitness in that building. We are the only nonprofit in Washington County that is devoted exclusively to serving the needs of teenagers and young adults. We provide emergency shelter, transitional housing, crisis management, counseling, substance use treatment, foster placements for young people, and a drop-in center in Montpelier. Last year, we served 4 families from Berlin, specifically in our individual and family counseling program, helping young people who have run away or who are thinking of running away navigate the family dynamics and get the support they need to stay home and not require additional services. We are requesting $1,000 from the town of Berlin. That is 3% of the overall funding we get from Washington County municipalities. Any questions? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shall the town appropriate $1,000 to the Vermont Center for Independent Living? Shall the town appropriate $1,000 to the Washington County Diversion? Shall the town appropriate $975 to Circle? I believe that was formerly Battered Women's. Shall the town appropriate $800 to the Community Harvest of Central Vermont?
Thank you. Good afternoon, almost. My name's Joey Connor, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Community Harvest of Central Vermont, which I'll refer to as Community Harvest. I'm a Berlin resident and a Community Harvest donor and volunteer. Last fall, I got to spend a fun afternoon at the apple orchard with our church youth group, gleaning around 1,000 pounds of apples. Volunteering for Community Harvest is not only a great way to provide food for our community, but a great way to spend time in the community and working outdoors. I'd like to share a quick overview of Community Harvest, some key highlights from 2025, and describe how Community Harvest serves Berlin specifically. Community Harvest's mission is to bring our community together through gleaning to recover surplus food produced on area farms to feed those with limited access to nutritious, fresh local food. And in the process, help the community to gain a greater awareness and appreciation of the local food system, healthy eating, and reducing waste. Community Harvest works with 200 to 400 volunteers each year to recover nutritious food to feed our neighbors experiencing food insecurity. The food has been grown on local farms but can't be sold and would otherwise go to waste. Community Harvest was founded in 2014 and has since donated more than 2.9 million servings of food to more than 30 local food shelves, senior and community meal programs, after-school and early childhood education programs, farm-to-school programs, and others. In 2025, Community Harvest served 12,668 individuals in Washington County alone. In recent years, Community Harvest has expanded their capacity for storage and transportation and is now able to receive, store, and distribute larger quantities of surplus food. This expansion has helped them provide more consistent service to their farm and recipient site partners, as well as generally contribute to community resilience. Community Harvest is asking for a small amount of funding from most of the towns they serve to support a portion of the cost of coordinating the recovery and distribution of the food gleaned with the help of 250 volunteers in 2025. 11 of those dedicated volunteers are Berlin residents. Community Harvest Center Vermont of Central Vermont asks for your support again this year in the amount of $800. This support will help Community Harvest continue their gleaning work to reduce waste and to feed Central Vermonters, especially as food prices and need continue to rise. CHCV partners with Berlin farms, including the Rogers Farmstead, Dog River Farm, and Helcom Farm. They glean the surplus food they grow but can't sell and want to share with our local community. CHCV has provided glean food to Berlin residents for the last 12 years through partnerships with food shelves, senior meal sites, Meals on Wheels, and those are in all of the towns that surround Berlin as well. They also have partnered with the Berlin Elementary Farm to School program, providing students with hands-on opportunity to glean, eat, and learn more about the local foods, the farm's fresh produce, and healthy eating. More than 12,270 servings have reached Berlin students through this partnership. Community Harvest of Central Vermont is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit. For more info on CHCV's impact on the community in 2025, you can visit communityharvestvt.org and check out the year-end update. The website also has information about how to get involved as a volunteer or supporter. I'm happy to try to answer any questions anybody might have, and thank you again for your past support, and I hope you'll support CHCV's current request for funding as you fill out your town ballot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
19, shall the town appropriate $800 to the Family Center, Washington County? Shall the town appropriate $750 to the Barry Area Senior Center?
Hey there, Corinne Cooper, resident. I'm actually not speaking on behalf of them, but I want to clarify something. I'm actually really glad to see them on the ballot asking for some funding this year, because last year there was a little confusion, at least there was in my brain, when the Montpelier Senior Center, when that lady presented, she mentioned about a handful of people that they were providing Meals on Wheels to, and I thought that sounded like a really low number, and I couldn't quite wrap around it. And it's because the Montpelier Senior Center, which is a fantastic place, and they offer some free programming, but they are only providing Meals on Wheels to a few of the residents. Others are covered by the Barry place, and others by Northfield. So there's actually quite a few people in Berlin getting Meals on Wheels, which is so important. And I just wanted to point out that it's not all coming from one place.
Thank you. Any other questions on that? Shall the town appropriate $700 to Capstone Community Action?
Good morning, Berlin. My name is Allison Calderera. I'm the Executive Director of Capstone Community Action. We are a community action agency, and our job is to be anti-poverty strategist for low-income Vermonters. As you will see as I go down through the list of things that we've done for residents, our job is to meet people in crisis and then give them the tools and resources they need in order to lift themselves into stable and secure lives. So last year, we served 208 Berlin households. That represents 321 individuals. 17 of these households were able to keep heating their homes with help from our crisis and supplemental fuel programs, as well as other utility costs. 33 individuals worked with housing counselors to find and retain affordable housing. 2 homeless individuals worked with our housing counselors to find and retain affordable, safe housing. 6 children were enrolled in Head Start and Early Head Start programs that serve at-risk families and are designed to break the generational bonds of poverty. 2 pregnant and parenting young adults are working to get their high school diplomas at our alternative high school, the Brook Street High School in Barrie. 140 Berlin residents access nutritional meals and meal equivalents from our food shelf. And just as a shout out to Community Harvest, we had 12,000 meals we cooked in our community kitchen last year, and we distributed at the food shelf. Virtually every bit of food that went into those meals was gleaned, or other foods that would have been wasted. I feel pretty good about that. 5 households received emergency furnace repairs, and 3 households, their furnaces were actually replaced at no charge. That helps keep people warmer and more energy efficient in their homes. 7 households were weatherized at no cost, and that reduces energy costs, but it's also an important component to keeping seniors safe and independent in homes that they want to stay in. 2 of these residents had disabilities. 4 multi-unit housing apartments were weatherized, and 8 individuals attended classes or met one-on-one with our financial counselor to be able to better manage and grow their finances. This includes things like debt reduction, working with people on their credit, managing their credit cards, school loans and things like that. It's a really good practical program to help people make the most of their limited dollars. 2 entrepreneurs received counseling and technical assistance on starting or growing a business in Berlin. And 33 residents had their taxes prepared at no charge by Capstone's IRS certified volunteers, ensuring them all the refunds and credits that they were due. Last year, we were responsible for helping folks get $2 million in refunds, and I can assure you that those dollars are spent quite quickly within our communities. I know times are tough, and I know your taxes feel hard. I just want to say thank you so much for including places like Capstone in your support. It means so much to us, and it helps us feel like we're such an important part of the community and supporting the folks that really are struggling to make ends meet now in your area.
I really appreciate the report as far as the breakdown of number of households and individuals and the ways you're helping people.
Yes.
So where else is your funding coming from? Because you guys are asking for $700.
Yes, I know. Maybe we should up that, but let me say where most of our funding comes from. We are federally funded, and if I was standing here 6 or 8 months ago, I might be having a different tale for you in terms of our financial sustainability. We have found that this year, I think one of the things that's been happening in Washington is that we have found bipartisan support for each and every one of our programs. That's pretty amazing. Republicans and Democrats came together in Washington and decided that community action agencies and their Head Start programs were too vital within their communities to let them go. And I will say that we were zeroed out in the president's original budget. Everything has been put back into the budget. It's all level funded. So it's not, we're struggling a bit with things like cost of living and things like that for our hardworking and amazing staff. But we are right now financially sustainable through our federal programs. But I will also tell you that we fundraise, and we will have to fundraise $850,000 this year in order to be able to plug those gaps that are left by the federal, what we don't get through federal and state programs. Our food shelf, which will have probably around 8,000 visits this year, is almost entirely supported by philanthropy. So these are dollars that are important to us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Thank you.
Have a round of applause. Thank you. 22, shall the town appropriate $600 to Good Samaritan Haven? Anyone on that? Shall the town appropriate $500 to the Central Vermont Economic Development Corporation? Shall the town appropriate $500 to Mosaic Vermont? Shall the town appropriate $500 to the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired?
You almost got it. I'm here for that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You did a good job introducing us. Thank you. My name's Trina Young. I'm a Berlin resident, and I'm the current president of the board of directors for the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and I'm happy to be here with you today. So our mission is to enable Vermonters who are visually impaired to be independent, to cultivate adaptive skills, and to improve their quality of life. While we're a statewide agency, one of our 4 offices is located right here in Berlin. If you've seen it, down by the Burger King. And it was built 10 years ago. We're about to celebrate this year our 100th anniversary, which means 1/10 of our time has been right here in our building in Vermont. Dan Norris, our Director of Adult Services, is also based out of this office. And according to statistics, there's about 13,000 visually impaired Vermonters. We're expecting that to double by 2030. That's in the next 4 years due to the aging of our state. In the past 20 years, that's as far as it's been documented, we've had more than 50 Berlin residents who have been served, but also that's increasing. And one of our main missions now, as I'm trying to reach out more and more, is to find those who could use our services who don't know about them. We're only seeking a level of $500 funding. I also thought, I was like, it's so low. We need to up that. But we offer a variety of services for all ages, from infants and their families who experience vision loss very young to seniors. And it's amazing to see what can be offered. I've watched children learn how to use their white canes. I've learned adults learn how to recognize their own prescriptions at home despite significant vision loss. And as those with vision loss are able to be more independent, it also trickles into families, the clients' families, and the communities to benefit all those. Many of the vision aids that we have and know about are free, they're easy to learn about, and they're already available. I know it sounds great to ask a grandchild to help somebody with their phone, but a lot of family members are less than patient and may have fewer skills. So we really do want to get people set up with the right resources. We're trying to make make sure as many visually impaired know how to use and how to access those that are available. So Dan is going to show us one right here.
All right. So I'll trade you my cane.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'll hold it.
Okay, so my name is Dan Norris. I live in Barrytown, and I'm based out of the Berlin office here. As Trina was mentioning...
Can I interject?
Yes.
Dan is also not just holding this as a prop.
I'm legally blind. I have Stargardt's, which is a juvenile form of macular degeneration, very similar to age-related macular degeneration. I just developed it when I was 7. So I like to joke I'm wise beyond my years. I'm a senior in a child's body. I am going to demonstrate a piece of technology. Can you guys hear me okay? It's kind of staticky.
Yeah, if you hold it at the right spot.
At the right spot. Just turn it around.
Huh. Here, try this. Go ahead.
All right. There?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. There we go. I'm going to take a picture with my phone of this piece of paper here, and then I'm going to have it read. It's processing.
You're going to hear my notes for the second time.
All right, let's do that again. All of the technology today. So a lot of our seniors that we work with, they get lunch menus and things like that. Open, be my eyes. And they can't access the information that's on the lunch menu. So what this does is this takes a picture of what you're looking at.
A printed sheet of paper on a dark wood table, showing a numbered script about VABVI, the Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. A book with a blue sky cover is partly visible along the left edge.
It's incredible.
And that's free technology. So all of you that have iPhones, iPads, Androids, that technology is available for free on those devices. Now, the devices cost, and we have ways of being able to help people access that. But that technology is free and can give full access to me. You probably saw me sit down here at the beginning with the business annual report, and I was turning the pages, and I was using that app to take a picture of the text and read to me so I knew what the agenda was today. That's something a senior could do with the lunch menu that gets delivered to them to help them know what the senior center is serving them. With 2,900 people in the city of Berlin, the town of Berlin, you have at least 87 significantly visually impaired people in your town that probably don't know about our services. So, as Trina said, please tell your friends that we exist. Our services are free. We can teach that technology to them. We can help them to access what they need. We have both high and low tech solutions that can help them to increase their independence, to cultivate adaptive skills, and to improve their quality of life. So thank you for talking with us today.
Thank you. Yeah, any questions?
What app is that?
Oh, it's called Be My Eyes. And it's actually a great app that any of you could download not only to use for someone you care about, but also some people can call in if there's something that the app doesn't read, and you could be a volunteer and be someone's eyes for them.
You'd use the camera on their phone and you can help them to orient to what's in front of them. It's a volunteer service. Definitely, please sign up for that too. You help people all around the world with vision loss.
You can even, if you speak a foreign language, you can even add that as part of it.
That's right.
It's called Be My Eyes. Mm-hmm. And that's one of just many, many available resources. Yeah. And again, Vermont Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired is a nonprofit. We're hitting our 100th anniversary, so we'd love to have you celebrate with us as well. There'll be a few events at this office, as well as the offices in South Burlington, Rutland, and Bennington.
Yeah, we'll be having a birthday party in May in our office in Berlin, so you're all invited. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's yours.
Don't take my.
I know. Is that yours?
No.
Oh, thank you.
I'm lost
I like to
without-
collect things.
Shall the town appropriate $300 to the Good Beginnings of Central Vermont? And shall the town appropriate $250 to OUR, Our House of Central Vermont? That's the first 27 articles. I'm again moved to conclude that we have a rich and diverse community, and it's served by so many good people. We have now an opportunity to go into something where you actually get to vote. These are 4 questions, or at least 3 questions. And we're thinning out quite significantly, and I'm assuming that if you felt like you had to stand up and stretch, you could. But in the interest of time, let's go forward. The traditional town meeting, Article 28, is to elect a town moderator for the year ensuing. The nominations are open.
Paul Gillis.
I've heard my name mentioned. Is there any, let me then turn it over to the chair of our select board, or to someone, and, as I am probably conflicted.
Is there a second to the nomination of Mr. Gillis? We have a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Or show of hands. Let's do a show of hands, please. Thank you. All those opposed? So be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe he's our next moderator. Well, thank you. The next article is to hear the reports of the town officers for 2025. I have traditionally gone through it page by page and asked for your comments. Many of the things we've already talked about fully today have been covered there, but I would open it up to anybody who wishes to comment on the reports in the annual town report? Or shall we just go on? All right. This is your last binding article. Shall the town collect its real and personal property taxes to defray the expenses of the town for the period July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2027 in installments, 1/4 of the taxes to be due by delivery of the U.S. Postal Service postmark, no private postal meter postmarks, on or before August 15th, 2026. 1/4 of the taxes due on or before November 15th, 2026. 1/4 of the taxes due on or before February 15th, 2027. And 1/4 due on or before May 15th, 2027, with an 8% penalty and a 1% interest per month or portion thereof to be charged for late penalty of any installment. Now, the way this works is I need someone to bring it forward so we can discuss it. Who will move this article? We'll take one at a time. And I need a second. Thank you. Any discussion of this article? This is where you pay your taxes and when you pay your taxes and how much you get to pay if you don't make it on time. I'm sorry to tell you that since you have no comments, I have to read it again before we can vote on it, so stand by. Shall the town collect its real and personal property taxes to defray the expenses of the town for the period July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027 in installments? 1/4 of the taxes to be due by delivery or by U.S. Postal Service postmark, no private postal meter postmarks, on or before August 15th, 2026. 1/4 of the taxes due on or before November 15th, 2026. 1/4 of the taxes due on or before February 15th, 2027, and 1/4 due on or before May 15th, 2027, with an 8% penalty and a 1% interest per month or portion thereof to be charged for the late payment of any installment. All in favor of that article say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The article passes. The last article is to discuss other business that may legally come before the meeting. And in this case, I ask you not to try to force a vote, because you can't vote under other business, but you can take up pretty much any topic that seems to be relevant to the town. And I would ask that if anybody wants to talk, that you come up and say it at this microphone.
Microphone that sketchily works. Hey there, Corinne Cooper again. A lot of you may have heard that this year America is celebrating its 250th birthday. And people are often saying, well, what about us here in Vermont? Because we weren't Vermont in 1776. And I just wanted to point out to you that Berlin was established in 1765. We had our first settlers in 1785, and the reason you see on the Berlin logo 1791 is that's when we became Berlin, Vermont, as opposed to just being Berlin and a territory that kind of went back and forth between New York and New Hampshire. Anyway, out on the back table there, I've got lots of historical society stuff, including a binder that has some, at this point, incomplete, but research on people who served in the American Revolutionary War and then ended up living in Berlin for some amount of time. It's pretty cool. Lots of other things, too. Berlin Historical Society has a report in the book, and that's where you will find our correct email address. There's still one spot, Rachel, on the cemetery page where it's not right. It's an old address. Anyway, we have some great programs, hoping to increase the number of them. We send out an occasional email of information and about programs, and sometimes links to some other Vermont programs happening elsewhere. In other news, most of you here I know, and you're probably aware of the Building Community in Central Vermont and Beyond Facebook page that I've had for many, many years. It used to be called something else. And
Also, for now 20 years, I've been sending out Berlin News to Know. It wasn't the original name of it, but just kind of an email blog of some information. And I welcome to add more people to that. And I'm just so glad to still be here in Berlin after being flooded out a couple years ago.
Thank you. I just want to add a note that if you're representing one of these organizations and you found that the money that was requested was too little, the select board has a policy that you need to petition for an increase of that, presumably 60 days out before the warnings are put up, and it must be submitted with signatures of 5% of the voters of the town. Our representatives are here, and they've been very patient in sitting and waiting, or at least, is Ken here? Or
Right up there.
Come on down, Ken. I'm sorry. To increase the amounts?
Oh, I heard that, and then the rest of it was scratchy.
Oh, well, this will take care of it.
Okay.
Hi, I guess I got up here first, so I get to talk first. Really appreciate people who are still here. Clearly, it's because you wanted to hear from Ken and I. Very noble of you. This isn't the greatest time to give an update because we're just coming to the end of the period where committees are all pretty much spending all their time working on individual areas of their jurisdiction. So very little has actually gotten to the House floor for voting to be able to report on House action, and then all that has to go to the Senate, or the Senate will be sending us things. So I'll briefly let you know some things my committee, which is Human Services, has done, and then reference, I think, what are the big topics on everyone's mind, which are budget and school funding. Our committee's done a couple things. We already passed a bill on recommended immunizations that was in response to the Health and Human Services of the federal government taking recommended immunizations off their list. This has nothing to do with mandatory vaccinations or the school issues or any of that. It has to do with longstanding in Vermont. We've had a collaborative arrangement between healthcare providers and the state. The state buys the immunizations so that they can pay a bulk rate, and then the insurance companies and providers are able to all collaborate in paying the actual lower cost, but then by agreement, no copays. So that's why your vaccinations are always free. But it's based on recommended vaccinations. So we needed to create a system for adding our health departments being able to identify them as recommended so that it can be part of that program. The other two largest things we've been working on is a homelessness bill. We made efforts last year. That was vetoed. We are again trying to craft something that stays within what the governor has already recommended as a budget for addressing this, that tries to build an actual system that helps people get out of homelessness against all the odds with the lack of affordable housing, but that actually supports them in doing that, and that, you know, significantly is able to reduce the use of hotels and motels. And when they are used to do things like saying, we're going to actually rent a block of rooms and have a case manager's office there so it functions as if it were a shelter rather than just putting people in hotel rooms. The other, we've been contributing to the Appropriations Committee consideration of the budget, and I can tell you one thing that has horrified us and that we're trying to act on within the budget is the efforts to create a new, basically juvenile detention capacity in the state since the closing of Woodside. It's been a little bit piecemeal, but there has been the basement of a sheriff's office basically in southeastern Vermont that at a cost of more than $2 million has been converted into an emergency crisis reception center. It has 3 beds and a living area and a few offices, Costs $2 million. And the contractor who will run it, they've signed a contract, it will cost $4,000 per day per bed. That's $4.3 million a year to run a 3-bed program. And that fee, that charge, that's per bed, doesn't matter if there's a kid there or not, if it's not fully used. $3.3 million, $400,000, that's like almost double what it pays to be in a hospital room. So we are really trying to address that, try to clamp down on that, and so forth. The budget, the Democratic majority right now is still saying they are going to stay within the governor's budget. If there are areas where we think more money is needed, we've got to find a place to balance it off. Hopefully that will hold. In other words, there won't be an increase in any tax areas. It's making it very hard because there are a lot of cost pressures just to maintain what we have now. The education funding bill, the best I can say is make sure to contact your, Ken and I are here, contact your state senators. If we keep delaying this and we don't act on what was started last year and we say, well, we've got a 5-year plan to work on this, then that's 5 years away from any resolution of the fact that right now every town votes on a budget and there is cross-subsidization forced by that. So, to have a statewide funding that's voted on by individual towns for their individual schools doesn't work, isn't fair, doesn't provide the results we need, and doesn't really make it possible to address costs with fewer students. So we need to do this. Even if we can't come up with a perfect solution, we need to make major changes. So that's what I've got on that. Oh, and one quick note, there was that mailing your taxes reference. For those who aren't aware, be aware, postmarks are no longer placed on your mail when you bring it and put it in the mailbox. It waits till it goes to a regional center and gets postmarked. That can be a delay of a day or two, so if you wait till the last minute, you could be in big trouble. You can ask for it to be hand stamped when you mail your mail, but if you put it in the box or just drop it off, be aware of that. It's new federal process. That's a very big deal. It's a couple of, and it's for all your bills. The stuff's got to be, well, I put it in the mail and it was postmarked. Well, it may not have been, and that couple of days could be a big difference. So I will be around to chat, answer questions, because I know it's getting late for people, but I'll share some time with Ken.
Good afternoon, everybody. Those of you that don't know me, I'm Ken Gosselin. I've been your state rep for 8 years, and most of the time it's been a pleasure. These are very, very, very difficult times, and we got our work cut out for us. There's a little bit of tension in the building in Montpelier this year. We're looking at a $9.4 billion, that's with a B, billion budget this year, and I have no idea where the money's coming from. Besides 3% raise in taxes that the governor has proposed to us. The problem is everybody that comes into our room wants more, and a lot more. And we've cut the transportation budget. I don't know if anybody's noticed how great our roads are in Vermont, but they're kind of not so good. I'm still in judiciary. We haven't done a lot of public safety for anybody. Our law enforcement continues to do an outstanding job. Unfortunately, they get to court and we don't prosecute. And that's very, very, very frustrating. That is not public safety for those of us that are in the public. We did a big thing up in Burlington where we had many repeat offenders. Why we keep allowing them to keep reoffending is beyond me. It was talked about Walmart and the amount of break-in, or not break-ins, but stealing that's done there. A couple years ago, we had the governor shows up every county for governor of the day or whatever it is. And from January 1st through August, at one point, I think it was $143,000 that were stolen from that store. And I come from the part in life that nothing is free. So you bet you Walmart is already figuring in every time how much material is being stolen. So I'm around afterwards. You guys have been here a long time. If you want to ask me any questions, or you want to ask me some questions now, I'd be more than happy to answer it. But bottom line is, and I think Ann kind of alluded to it, there's not a lot going on at the State House. I hate to say this, but for how many weeks we've been there? 8 weeks, 9 weeks? We've kind of wasted your taxpayers' money. I feel bad about that. Well, but I'm also a taxpayer. So, anything? I hate to be doom and gloomy. I've been accused of that before, but facts are facts. I thought Vince laid some things out very well today. It's just, I also served on the select board for 10 years, and sometimes things just are not rosy. So, anybody got anything? Otherwise, I'll be in the back corner somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. You all probably know who I am, but I'm Rachel Giroux. I'm closing out what is Berlin's final elected term as clerk at town meeting. And moving forward, the clerk's position will be appointed by the select board, so stay tuned for that. I've been lucky enough to have several wonderful assistants over the years, and I just wanted to introduce everyone to the newest assistant, William Cole. He's a graduate. He's a graduate student at Norwich with a strong interest in politics and elections, so he's right at home here.
Thank you. One final thought, there's very delicious food over here. Yes, of course, just a minute. No, do you have something to say? Well, let me just finish my thought, then we'll go. There's food over there. It's by donation. It looks delicious. That's lunch if you want to go next. Joe.
Good afternoon. As you well know, I'm not going to be running for another term. I did 3 years on the select board. July 1st, the fire department was merged with the town, and that's where my focus needs to be. It was pointed out there's food in the corner, and that's being provided by the Berlin Firefighter Association. The new Firefighter Association is to support firefighters, their families, both mental, physical, and I'll say spiritual health. Thank you very much to those guys. Secondly, Jeff Farrell, who is on the Rec Commission, his son, Kevin Farrell, was just nominated for the U.S. Air Force Academy. I just thought I'd mention that. So, thank you very much, and I'll turn this back over.
I think we ought to thank Joe for his work on the select board.
Hello, I'm Peg Monley. I'm one of the justices of the peace here. I moved to Berlin 21 years ago from Waterbury, and we used to have an amazing town meeting. I think our first town meeting, well, the tables were always up and they were full of people. Then this was full of chairs and then voting behind us, but everybody, there was vibrant discussion. The first time we were here, someone came in with a proposal to cut $167,000 from the town budget. And they passed out papers to everybody, and everybody thought that was great, and most of it got cut from the roads. And then the next year, everybody was complaining about the roads because they were terrible. And sure enough, we voted to fully fund not just what was in the budget, but what did the guy, Tim, who was running the town roads, what did they ask for that the select board thought was too much? Let's give them everything they asked for. And the roads were great. I miss town meeting. This is just sad. So I thank you for coming. But I would like to propose that, and I know we can't vote on it today, I would like to propose that we change town meeting back to town meeting day instead of we tried it for 4 years so that to see if more people could come on a Saturday, and more people aren't coming. So if we could change it back to town meeting, and maybe we propose that it's 10 in the morning, or maybe we propose that it's 4 in the afternoon, when by end of February, beginning of March, it's light enough that people can still drive. That was a concern. But if we changed it and the fire auxiliary association, thank you, could do dinner instead of lunch, and people could still, I just think, so I'm going to be looking, I don't have petitions today, but I'm going to be looking to get signatures to change town meeting back to town meeting day. And I hope, I hope to have everyone's support in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have something else to add? You have one more chore today, one more vote. I need a motion to adjourn. And second, any discussion, any regrets? All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. And those opposed?
Nay.